Good afternoon. I'm just going to film myself making or trying to make one of these Metcalfe models. Well, I thought I might. I haven't seen a building video on these lately. I've got some obviously for the extension of my layout. There's going to be a farm on there, and I've actually got four of the things. I've got the stables and the big house and the outhouses and sheds, and this one, the gardener's cottage, which is going to go with the stables and some horses. It's a very small one. Comes in this packet here, which I've torn apart as I usually do, so it can go. And you start with this little book here, which tells you everything you need to know. Make your builder's yard, etc. Well, I've done it before, so I'm not going to read the first page. It's fairly simple, but you have to be fairly circumspect about gluing things and what order you do things in. You have to follow this carefully, because it doesn't pardon if you've closed something up and you can't get the windows in, or you can't get something in after the roof. If you want to light it up, for example, lighting, you have to do that before you put the roof on, before you put sometimes even the intermediate floors in. So to think about that as you're doing it. The noise you can hear is my tidy track cleaning the tracks on this. I'll get it into shot there onto the 08, which is just cleaning away. Leave that there. I'm going to put the 9F on there, this one. Oops, focus please. Thank you. I'm going to put the 9F on later on, because it's filthy. Hasn't been running in a while. And so we'll start with this. Here we go. So, page 1, chapter 1. In the beginning, Metcalfe created the house. Okay. Gardener's cottage, sheet A. So basically all of these always follow the same. I don't normally use these much. All of these follow the same format. There's the laser cut beams and the rest. Put those to one side, I don't need that. As I say, they all follow the same format basically. And the first thing to do is to cut out the glazing. With a sharp knife. And here we go. You don't have to cut right through this plastic. I've been finding that if you score it heavily, like that, actually I'm going to cut them all first, and just bend it, it cracks over the score line. Dun! And you can just, so no force required. After about, start again. After about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, of fooling around changing the blades because your knife isn't sharp enough, you end up with all these little windows cut out. You do not cut or score along these dotted lines. They'll be scored lightly later on, in such a way that they can be bent round the bay windows if you decide to fit them. So don't do anything with those now. Wait. This particular model comes with inner walls. Quite a lot of the Metcalfe kits don't have the inner walls, and so the windows actually go onto the outer walls on the inside. They have frames sometimes, as with this part here, extension frame. But these windows here, most of them are going to be stuck on the inner frames. So let's do that. Then all that's left to do is stick the windows on with any glue that you like, really. Little dots like this will do. I've got this little bottle here with my glue in it. If you haven't got one, just get the top of your tube of glue and squeeze it so it makes a tiny hole. Squeeze it flat. I've found that leaving a pin in the thing and then squeezing it flat round the pin will get you a small hole and you get little blobs out. You don't want much glue at all, and you've got to try and line the thing up when you've got that on. So it's vaguely straight in the middle. On the other side, the glue makes, you probably can't see that, little flat round blobs, and it does tend to. I'm using a different glue this time, trying a new one. They all seem to stick. This is children's school glue. Many of them will work. Some of them are a bit quick, so you don't get much time to adjust the window in the holes, but this one's quite reasonable. So I'll just finish these off and let them dry. On most of these kits, or at least quite a lot of them, you have to get the doors flush with the bottom. When you're sticking them in, the door is stuck to the back, as are the windows. Right. So I like to put them up vertically like this. I'm holding up my finger and push them down like this to get them absolutely flat. On occasion, there is a step. In some of the kits, there's a step, these two parts here, which sticks out. And in that case, it may not be flush, but for the most part, they are flush. The next bit is a bit fiddly. Got to get this thing stuck on there. Now this is flat on the floor, and these are just sitting there. So getting the glue into this area here, around the edges, is going to be quite difficult. But I'll have a go. Doing it flat on the cutting board, of course, is quite good because you can always wash the cutting board off if the glue goes through. Obviously this has got to dry, so I'm using these little square blocks or rectangular blocks to push everything square. That's like that, and the back square, so that's okay. And the lead weight in the middle helps because even the cardboard in the middle has a tendency to move upwards, to warp sometimes, and I've got to get it all square and flat. The next stop, having removed all the weights and things, is to get these stuck inside there. Again, you've got to get them exactly square because the roof has got to go on and the windows have to be square in the holes, of course, like that. And there's the door. As I said before, this one, let's hold it there. The door is flush with the bottom of the card because the step goes under the whole lot. Okay, like that. So let's just do that. Next there's this little piece here which has to go into this area here, and it's supporting the two end walls, so it's going to be incredibly difficult to get in. Sort of like that. Another little tool from my woodworking gear. Dun. Shall I hold that in there? And this is not easy to get all this stuff lined up. Let's let that dry and see what happens. The next thing to put in is the upper floor here, which is this thing. Quite a lot of the time I don't glue those in because it's such a tight fit. It actually fits in on top of the two pieces you've put in, this piece here and a similar piece at the back. I think that's square. I can see in there, yes, it's square in there. I'll just leave that like that. There's no real need to glue it, I don't think. And it shows you how square you have the thing inside as well. There you go. You can glue it if you want to. Furthermore, be careful with that, because if you want to put lighting inside this thing, one, if there are any gaps, it'll show through. Two, you have to be able to get the lamp and the wires in there, so you might like to do that now. I'm not going to do the ground floor, I don't think, on this part. I'm going to put some lights in this part here, in case it gets dark, really. Now you've got to add the chimney inner wall, which will sit in here, like that. Go in there, and then there are some strengtheners somewhere, I think a couple of them, which get stuck behind there to make the chimney stronger. So I'll do that. Yeah, the strengtheners. Combine these two first, I think. Those two together, like that. Get them straight. And the same length. Like that. That's good, wasn't it? But you can't do that twice in a row. And those have got to go in here. So, big blobs of glue for that. Yeah. Very soporific doing that. The chimney itself, it's going to go around. This is the piece. Fold these over. This has got to go around there, I presume, like that. I'm doing this a little bit before the glue on the support thing has dried, because if it does have to move a bit, or in the worst case scenario I have to take it to pieces because it doesn't fit. Oh, it does seem to fit. Okay, let's give it a go. So we'll wait for that to dry and see what that looks like. It looks fairly well lined up. So, another weight. This item here has to go on here, like that. And this edge here must be aligned with this edge here, and same on the other side, because the next piece of the house is going to wrap around here and will obviously have to be straight. So what I shall do is get the other part out and have a look. And here is the other part, which is going to go around here, sort of like that ish. So it's got to, this thing here has got to be in the right place on that. Let's reattach that and have another look with this. Let's see. That looks right, and the bricks are straight. So look at the other side. Now, having tested this before, I have found that this part of the wall, which is going to go in there, actually sort of clips in there and holds there. So if I glue that first, because you've got big old hands like mine, go on, in you go. So that goes in there, that goes onto the brickwork, straight away. And then this is going to go around, get my head out the way there, and that's going to go there. Brave man here. How about one of these? I suppose I could always hook these down to the edge of the board. I could do that, couldn't I? And I could do that. And I could do, oh, it fits that. Then I could do that. Which will hold those in there, which is quite good. That's not holding on. The inside edge is right. So I've got to find a way of holding that in there. It's against the wall, all right, more or less. Actually, I'll put a piece of card under there because that's not touching the wall. It is now. Oh, next what to do? Put the windows and the doors into this extension. Straight in the hole, vaguely. That's that. So one of those on there. Can't get anything in the bottom. And the gable end in there. Doot. That's it. Shove that in there. So it looks straight in the hole. No, it doesn't. It's slightly over to the. Yep, that's it. That's better. That won't fit. That's not enough. Can we get one of these things in there? Yes, we can. That'll do. That's it. Wait again. Now it's the roof. Roofs. I've already put the glue on there. I put it on there because when you put it on here, the other side of this, you can never actually work out where it's going to go. Obviously that is going to go like that. This is yet another one that's difficult to hold down. To get this last part on, I'll show you that there, it's got to go around the chimney like that. And it's such a tight fit, I'm just having to modify the slot very, very gently using this, which is very useful for doing things like that. And there it fits a little bit better. I'm going to test run this first. That looks okay. This next bit is really fiddly. It involves getting the put it down, the barge boards in the right place. underneath the, you slide that in to show you there, for example. One thing I found, that they are actually held in here, it seems quite firmly, but they're not. If you hold this up to the light, I'll just shine this through there, you can actually see right through the bits that are cut. And you'll be able to see more easily where you've got to just push the point of your scalpel or knife blade in. There are tiny places holding these parts in here. Here's one of the bargeboard sets in place. Just to explain something, there is a problem with the instructions. Put that down. On the instructions here, oops, it says that, you can see this, I'll just try and zoom in on that. Where's the zoom button? Here we are. No, that's not the zoom button. That's the zoom button. It says that the large board B is the one in here, and it says that A is a large and C is a large, which is not as long, but the thicknesses seem to be similar of A and C. However, when we got to do this, go up to this part, now combine these three together, we've got B at the back. A is now the complicated one and C is the one at the front. Now on the other side, as you can see, B is the one there, and it is turned into A here. Now I've played around with this quite a lot, and in fact there are three here cut out. And I'll put them in the middle so you can see them. There's a less long one, as in the picture, like that, which is actually thinner than the one in the middle. And there's A. So what I've done is I put the thin ones on the back in that way, and the thick ones on the front. Okay, and that seems to work right. One last thing while you're doing this, if you can't pick up these things with your fingers, I've got human sized hands and they just tend to get in the way, you can actually do it like that. You stick the point of your knife or scalpel into the edge, you can actually get them in place vaguely like that, which I find very useful, especially for the two small ones here. Picking those little bits up and getting them straight, because there's two thin ones and a thick one, that's really, it really isn't easy. Anyway, let's get that off. Of course, if you get a bit of glue, it does dry transparent, this stuff. And there's the telephone again. I get something in the region of an average of 5 a day. My record is 14. Yesterday was 9. And it's nothing, it's just people trying to sell you things. And it goes on and on and on. For the last year and a half, it's been chaos in France. If you're on a list where you get chosen, that's it, that's your lot. And for God's sake, never insult one of these people. They put you on a deliberate phone him up every 5-minute list, I'm sure. So I just leave it, and that's it. You'll see. How many times is that now? There you go. And they'll be back. They are the Schwarzeneggers of the phone calls. They will be back. And so here we have a more or less finished article. A lot to do yet, but that's the main body of it built up. As a parting shot, these edges here on the edge of this and all around the building look like cardboard. So like this, it looks cardboardy. what I like to do is either we can paint them in, but the quickest, easiest way is with these artists things. And fingers, you can just, lovely, get really dirty. So that's it, that's the P0258 Gardener's Cottage, Metcalfe. Very nice, it will be when it's finished anyway. So I've got a gardener's cottage, so I'll have to get a gardener, and I've got the Manor House farm, so I can do Lady Chatterley. I've got the lover, all I need is to build Lady Chatterley's house and off we go. Good novel. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been helpful to you, and goodbye.